Just joined BVA? The new member series, led by Teresa Galgano, is your guide to everything you need to know. From member benefits to our proud history and upcoming events. Tune in the last Monday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern. Stay connected.
Hello, everybody. Steve Baskus here, the producer and the creator of the Visions of BVA podcast. Welcome to the show. Today is going to be a personal monologue. It's me just describing my experience at BVA conventions and the journey to the convention. What is required of you? I want to do this episode because I was thinking deeply about the recordings I collected from this recent convention in July of 2025, our 80th anniversary of the BVA convention. And I had spoken to a number of people, and they brought to my attention this concept, this idea, and I was thinking about it myself. But the idea of what is it like to prepare to sign up for the BVA convention, to journey to it? What kind of tools, assistive technology, accessible technology, skills, orientation and mobility, navigation skills are required. And so this episode is really going to just be me speaking about my journey, my personal feelings on what you should know, how you should travel. But remember, these are my opinions mostly, and they come from real experience over the years. I've been a member of the BVA for 17 years. In May of 2008, while serving with the U.S. Army on the ground in Iraq, Baghdad, the capital, I was wounded, severely wounded, because of a improvised explosive device, a shape charge detonated next to our mounted patrol. And we were the lead vehicle, and it killed a good friend of mine, a teammate, but I lost all my eyesight that day. And shortly after that, I ended up, half a world away from the battlefield in Walter Reed Medical Center, near Washington, D.C. As I was recovering, I learned of blind rehabilitation, and specifically Edward Hines Jr. VA Hospital, a blind rehab center in the Chicago area. One of the oldest, dates back to 1945, if I'm not mistaken. And at least the history of the white cane and training and blind rehabilitation. So while I was there at Hines, I was learning about the BVA, the Blinded Veterans Association, and I was learning about what it could offer me. And through my recovery, I made the decision to accept an invitation to go to my very first convention. And the convention that year in 2008 was taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. You have to recall or remember, I should say, that I really had lost my eyesight just a few months before. So I traveled with my brother, my younger brother, and I had a lot of help this first time to the convention. While there, I got really sick because I was not completely healed, or my body had not completely healed from some of the injuries that I sustained. And so I ended up in the hospital for most of the convention, 3/4 of the convention. But I had members who came to my side. I remember one specifically, Ivan Castro. He served in the Special Forces in the U.S. Army, and he spent time at my bedside and, told me stories about his life and about his journey with blindness. And I got to attend a few of the early meetings and the opening ceremony when I arrived before getting sick. And it was remarkable to hear all the different people's stories, blind veterans' stories about their life and their recovery, their loss of sight to disease or to combat injuries. And I was inspired to want to be a better blind person, to live life full, to have a full life, and to be independent as much as possible. Because you have to realize I was serving on the ground in Iraq. As you know, I was part of a team that was leading the whole squad. We were, making decisions about the routes and where we should go and how we should stay safe. And we were trying to protect our fellow soldiers and teammates. And we were very independent, very strong and confident. And that carried over into my recovery and my rehab. I bring all this up because this whole episode is about encouraging you to think deeply about who you were before you lost your sight, or even if you're losing your sight currently, remember where you came from and what you stood for, and use that to drive yourself forward in your recovery process, in your healing process, to make you mentally stronger, physically stronger, so that you can pursue the things you want to do in life, no matter how much eyesight you have. Because we still have vision, right? Vision is in us, within us, in our mind. We can envision different things. We can rebuild our lives. So in that year, 2008, I learned so much about the BVA. And since then, I have attended and participated in many conventions. And every time I travel somewhere, whether it's to the convention or to my family or friends or to go on vacation, and especially when I travel independently on my own, alone, which I normally do, I learn more techniques, procedures, whatever you want to call it, tactics, techniques, procedures, to help me be more resourceful, more capable, while traveling independently. And that's important. You have to push yourself. You have to challenge yourself to break, free from your family, your friends, your caretaker, your loved ones, your wife, whomever it may be, your husband, so that you can, experience what it means to travel on your own in an airport, on public transportation, at the hotel, to all the meetings and the sessions, and these huge, convention centers, and how to get back to your room and get to places around the hotel to eat. And so it can be a huge undertaking, to say the least. So I kind of wanted to describe my process and my perspective and the things that I've learned and the things that I use. This is not a comprehensive or exhaustive, detailed breakdown of the tools and systems, but it is a conversation. And I hope that we'll grow from this and we'll have more conversations and more episodes that focus on this topic. So let's get started. So everything starts at home, right? You're at your apartment, your condo, your single family home. And, hopefully you've gone through blind rehabilitation and orientation and mobility training, O&M training, learning how to use the long white cane. And, it's a love-hate relationship, this tool, this very rudimentary, simplistic tool called the white cane. But it's everything for me. It's almost like the weapon that we carried when we served. As a soldier in the U.S. Army, as an infantryman, I always had a rifle or a weapon system with me when I moved. And so you slept with it, you cleaned it, you made sure it worked, that it didn't have malfunctions. And it was something that was a tool, and you always had it at your side. It's the same thing with the long white cane. The long white cane is required for navigation through space and time. It gives you the ability to feel your way, to identify, a reference like the hallway wall, or to navigate around tables and chairs. Wherever you may travel, your long white cane is there to help you. Up and down stairs, through rooms, like I said, through space and time. So having a very good understanding and good training and real world experience that you gain when you go to blind rehabilitation to blind centers across the country. There's 13 of them in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. Most of them are in the lower 48, and one is in Puerto Rico. But I encourage you to go to blind rehab to learn O&M and to learn assistive technology, accessible technology that can assist you, like that can actually amplify your ability to navigate more efficiently through time and space. So second is, I'm completely blind, and it's important to know a screen reader. Some people might use magnification or zoom tools because they have some residual eyesight or vision left. For me, I have nothing at all. No light perception, NLP. I'm completely blind. I wear prosthesis. So I am very dependent on a piece of technology called the screen reader. I started out with JAWS, and at the time JAWS was developed and manufactured by Freedom Scientific. That's changed nowadays. You can look it up. JAWS is Job Access with Speech, if I'm not mistaken. But more importantly, now I use VoiceOver because I transitioned to using an iPhone a long time ago. And then I wanted to just stay within the same ecosystem. So I use Apple products now. I use the Mac computer system and Mac OS. So those things are preferential. Everybody has their own tools they want to use, but I think it's something that you should consider when learning technology. Like what ecosystem do you want to work in? What's going to work the best for you in your daily routine, in your work environment, in your home environment, while you're traveling. So the screen reader on the iPhone is VoiceOver. I'm using an iPhone 15 Pro. When I am preparing for the convention, and I work for the BVA, so they help set up some things for me. But before I worked for the BVA, I had to set up my own hotel rooms. I had to go to the BVA webpage and fill out the form. Now, they'll offer assistance. I've never called them and asked them for assistance, but I know for sure that the representatives at the BVA will definitely assist you with the application if you need it, as well as point you down the right path. So always feel free to reach out to the BVA if you have questions or concerns. But on the BVA website, you find your registration, the portal where you can register, and more importantly, find all the information about the hotel. So I take notes. I take notes about where the hotel is, the address, the phone numbers. I sometimes even input that in my phone. The contact information as a contact, the address, the phone number. anything that's going to help me when I'm traveling, if I need to make a call to the hotel, or, set up navigation, like with the GPS systems like Apple Maps or Google Maps or whatever. And also to plug in things for public transportation, a train, a bus, or Uber, a taxi. So I'm setting up stuff on my phone in the sense of reminders and checklists. Apple Reminders is such a great tool. I bring a lot of things, everything from my clothes to electronic equipment, and I don't want to forget anything. So I can create a list that I can check off the different items as I pack them away. And I can bring that list back and do it again when I leave the hotel and come back home. I can go through the whole checklist to make sure I don't leave anything in the hotel room. So utilizing a screen reader and technology like the iPhone really helps create independence and gives you the ability to accomplish things just like our sighted counterparts, to be just as efficient. So you fill out the, registration, you make checklists, you go through the technology you're going to bring. For me, I like to bring a number of things. I have a phone, I have an Apple Watch, and I have a second phone. So I have two iPhones. One's a backup, and the other one is because I work and run a business, and I have two. So I have two phones, but I also travel around the world. And even if your phone doesn't have a cellular plan, and let's say you've gone through buying phones over the years, it's good to have two phones, even if you just connect to Wi-Fi and you can use the phone on a wireless network with internet. But these devices, plus my computer system, my white cane, an extra white cane, auxiliary batteries, everything you can think of. I'm making a checklist and I'm packing it away. I'm signing up for the convention. I'm taking notes. I'm making sense of my itinerary. I'm booking my flight. I use the screen reader to navigate onto my favorite airline application. United mostly is what I use. And I make sure that all my information, my known traveler number for TSA pre-check, my Mileage Plus account, for my bonus award miles, is all inputted. And I book my flight. I make sure to make sense of how long is it going to take to get from the airport to the hotel. And I can plug this in, in Apple Maps before I even leave. I can just ask, what's the distance between, with artificial intelligence or these, personal assistants like Alexa or Siri. And it gives me the ability to make sense of the bigger picture of travel. And so I recommend, you really work on understanding how to use the tools that are here in our lives to give you the more independence. So then the day comes that you're going to travel. I usually use Uber. In my small town in Montrose, Colorado, on the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains, Uber is definitely in the town and is a service I can use. But I sometimes book a limousine with a small company. It's a more cheaper, inexpensive limousine. They have a town car, and I'll write an email and I'll provide them all my information. I've already, set up everything. But they come and get me at my house. I have sensors on my home, so when someone enters the driveway, I know that they're in my driveway, and I lock up my home and I leave, get in the vehicle, and I get to the airport. Now it's a familiar airport. It's a small airport, but sometimes I don't know the airport maybe necessarily in some places I visit. So a lot of times I ask the driver, can you get me close to the curb? And if you can't leave your vehicle, can you just point my hand, like hold my hand and point my hand to the door, give me some guidance and tell me if there's any obstacles, and I'll make my way in and find a representative on my own. And a lot of times I will do this if they can't help me to the door. And and it just makes it a little easier, to get in the building. But there are a lot of different techniques. You could start using Meta Ray-Ban glasses in this day and age. I have some. That's one of the pieces of technology I bring with me. And you could use, because that provides a hands-free experience of video conferencing with somebody. Aira, AIRA, they used to be known as artificial intelligence remote assistants, or Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is more of a free volunteer, personal kind of live agent assistant a system, as well as there's an artificial intelligence model for assessing and evaluating images and things that you present it through pictures. So the cool thing is you can use any of these tools as well as just general communication with a human being if a human person is physically present around you. And a lot of times that is the most simplest way to use your long white cane, your ears, and communicating effectively with people that are around you. That's the hardest thing, I think, sometimes, is trying to effectively express the help you need, the help you don't need, and what kind of descriptions or directions you require. Because some people will just say, oh, it's over there. And they forget that they're pointing, they're gesturing, and they're not making sense that you cannot see at all. You might be very confident and they may think you have some vision. Like a lot of times people think I'm not blind, but I'm completely blind. And so when someone goes, it's over there, yeah, I might hear their voice and their inflection and the direction they're pointing their voice, and I can like make a prediction or an assumption. But a lot of times I go, just take my hand, and point my arm in the direction. That's one way, There's a lot of different ways. And I think it's just really depends on the person and the situation. You have to be adaptive. Be flexible, be adaptive, be open-minded, and carry yourself with confidence and strength, and people will respect you and treat you with dignity. So I make my way in the airport and I look for a representative. Sometimes people will approach me and say, do you need help if I look lost? If I'm using my Meta Ray-Ban glasses in this modern day and age, I might use a Be My Eyes agent because they're free. Sometimes they're not the most reliable. So I'll use Aira. I pay for Aira. It's a paid service with trained representatives, and you can make a call. You can toggle on an option in the glasses in the Aira application when you're making a call. And it allows you to connect to an agent that will see through the camera on your Ray-Ban glasses. And so as I'm walking through space, I can ask them real time if I have a good cellular reception or Wi-Fi connection, to tell me what's in front of me. I'm looking, and then that I'm looking for a representative, or I'm looking to get to the security, TSA security line. And once you get in line, you can just then follow the flow of people. And generally the agents can help
Discover the power of movement, connection, and community with the Adaptive Sports and Activities Interest Group, facilitated by Anthony Woodson. Join fellow veterans in peer-driven conversations focused on adaptive recreation, integrated support, and whole health rehabilitation, all designed to empower dignity, independence, and self-worth. Meetings take place on the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern. Whether you're looking to get active or stay connected, this is your space to be inspired, supported, and seen.
Another thing is you can just use TSA severely wounded, the severely injured program. I forget what they call it nowadays, but there are a lot of services that you can look up and Google. But TSA does have a severely wounded or severely injured program that allows you to request help, but you have to set it up ahead of time. Or you can call the airport and find out where the best entrance is to come into the airport to talk to the wheelchair or the meet and assist. people, the third-party company that the airlines use to help people who have disabilities to their gates and throughout the airport. So a lot of times I will use this service because I don't mind exploring and navigating on my own. I don't travel with a guide dog. That's a whole nother scenario. We'll have to get someone on the show to talk about traveling with a guide dog through the airport and through public areas. But I choose to travel, with just my white cane. And so when I'm at the airport, I may go to the desk, and use my glasses to get there. And then from there, they will have me sit down or wait, and a person will come to help me. And I usually request a sighted guide, someone just to walk with. I don't need to sit in a wheelchair. Now, maybe you do, but this is also another challenging experience. Sometimes people want to touch you or grab you and move you. I'm kind the first, second, time that they do that. I try to remind them that, no, please don't grab me. Just ask me or give me guidance verbally, and I will move myself to where I need to be. But don't grab me and don't forcibly move me into a wheelchair or something. Ask me just like a person. I tell people often, you don't want to, if you were walking down the street, a sighted person, not a person like with any kind of disability, visible disability or blindness. They're just walking out, and if anybody walked up to you when you were walking down the street and grabbed you, I don't think you'd be very happy about it. It's no different for someone who has a disability or blindness. So keep that in mind. If you're not blind or visually impaired or disabled, just kindly ask. That's all you have to do. Is just ask. And sometimes people are, grumpy, upset. We're all traveling, all day long in the airport. We get delayed. And, sometimes we're not so happy and we don't want help, or we speak in a negative way. Just have an open mind again and ask. And if someone doesn't want help or they're not in a good mood, then leave them alone. Well, they help me through security. A lot of times I'm ready to go through security. I have all my stuff out of my pockets. I just have my ID in my pocket. I have my phone available because usually I have a digital boarding pass, but sometimes I put that phone away because if I go get help at the front counter at the front of the airport with the airline, and they bring someone to assist me, I will literally just use the printed boarding pass they provide me. So I put all my electronics away except for my ID and my boarding pass, and I go through security and I go onto my gate. And they might help me to a family restroom because family restrooms are smaller. You don't have to navigate around and find your way in a public restroom. Every person who assists or helps at the airport will be different. Maybe they don't want to come in the restroom with you. Maybe they don't want to help you beyond the door of the bathroom or the restroom. So sometimes if you can get to a family restroom, which is just a single restroom with an area for a family to deal with a baby, or and just someone in a wheelchair could use more specific tools. Those restrooms are a lot easier to navigate as a blind person. But whether you're getting food, going to the restroom, you're going to learn all these different tactics, techniques, and procedures of using tools like the Meta Ray-Ban glasses or your iPhone and the camera built into it, or just snapping pictures with either device and asking and moving around in the space using your ears and your orientation and mobility skills. So you land at the airport near the convention. In this case, it was Dallas. Sometimes there are volunteers. The BVA is good about trying to find volunteers in the region and the location where the convention is taking place. And if you arrange that help, like you write an email and you communicate to people with the BVA and the volunteers beforehand. They may help guide you from your gate right down to a shuttle that might be, that might have been referred by the BVA. That's, low cost and is a direct ride to the airport, from the airport to the hotel. Or you might just need help right down to the Uber or to another type of transportation. Whatever it is, sometimes the airport may not need to help you if you've set something up with a friend or a third party guide. Family members and people can request a special pass to come past security. They'll have to have an ID and they'll have to know your name and information and what they're doing. But they can sometimes meet you at the gate. And I've had family and friends and my girlfriend come to the gate and wait for me when I land, and right when I come off the plane, they're there. And other times I've just followed other people off the airplane all the way to baggage claim and through security, and to the exit of the airport, and just totally winged it, did it on my own. No fancy tools, just listening with my ears, following roller bags, listening to other people talk, or just having people point me in the right direction, and I just follow the flow of traffic. When you get good at your long white cane skills, you can do anything. So we get in our transportation, some tips like for Ubers and stuff. Like I'll usually have the GPS set up with a headset in my ear, or the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, whatever, so that I can listen to the turn-by-turn navigation, even though Uber and the Uber driver, they've got all my information, where I want to go. I can see that the driver's name, the license plate, And again, you can use these the visual, the optic technology on your iPhone or your Meta Ray-Ban glasses to have an agent look out for the Uber. Like you're standing at the signs at the airport where there's a number, you finally get to where your Uber is going to pick you up and you're waiting. You can make a call with Ira or Be My Eyes and say, I'm looking for this type of car with this license plate, and the driver is going to be this person. And so I know Ira used to have something integrated where they would help you book the whole thing, and they would actually just be watching right through the glasses. Some of that has either changed or I just don't use it anymore, but you can use these things to complement each other, or however you want. I'm just trying to give you ideas and concepts of different ways I have experienced things or accomplished things. So I get in the vehicle and I'm listening to my GPS to make sure that, the driver's doing what I need. Sometimes I'm able to give the driver directions because maybe their system's not working, or the person that's helping me is not using GPS. So I can literally just tell them, because I'm listening to it in my ear, and I say, make a right up here at this street because the GPS just told me. But it also just keeps me aware of what the driver's doing, where they're going. And I can also keep track of the Uber information. So I arrive and I do the same thing, at the hotel. The driver is right there at the front door, the front lobby, where the circle drive is, or however big the hotel is, whatever the front drive is like. And I ask them, can you point me to the front door? Either they'll help me over to the door, or I'll just walk myself there. I get inside and it's the same problem. Sometimes there are volunteers at the convention. They're going to help you to check in. Sometimes there isn't, and you have to find your own way. But a lot of times there are friendly people that are going to help you. You get to the front desk of the hotel, and I think the best thing to do here is to ask questions about where your room's going to be, and is it going to be, do you want it close to an elevator, to a stairwell for emergency purposes? Is that going to be easier for you to go up the stairs, maybe from the lobby to get to your room? There's different, some people don't want to be near elevators or stairwells because they're noisy. People are coming through the doors. You have to think about where you want to be, or you just let the hotel put you maybe, put you where you want to be, but maybe you want to be near a gym or on closer to the restaurants, or you want to be on the top floor. I don't know, but considering all these things, thinking about your disability, about emergency, exit from the hotel is all important. And it's good to ask questions. These are things you can ask even before you come to the hotel. You can call the hotel before you leave your home. I like for someone to help me with my bags sometimes, not always, or just help me up to the hotel room. And sometimes if they have time, I'll have them walk me just once or, twice, once, generally just once, up from the lobby to my room, to the hotel elevators. When I'm in the elevators, I'll ask them to kind of go over the buttons, and I'll memorize the column, the rows, quickly. So I can quickly reference the corner of the elevator buttons, like the bottom left corner, the bottom right, or whatever, and count a column over, or a row over, or whatever, and work my way to my button. Even though, I can read Braille and I can discern the tactile feel of a number, it's just sometimes easy, if there's a sighted person assisting you, to just show you. And sometimes, again, you're doing it all on your own, and you just have to use the tools that exist, Braille, or using your sense of touch and the tactile feel of a number embossed. So once someone's given you a little bit of a layout of the hotel, then in your room, because maybe the room is strange and you want to know where the phone is, or, plugs. These are all things to consider and think about, depending on how comfortable you are with finding it yourself, or having someone come into the room that helps you with your bags to kind of give you perspective. Knowing, like, is it just 0 that you press to get to the front desk, or if there's a special, button or other number that you need to press. Those are things that are important to know. Where's the do not disturb sign? So you can put that up. Anything that a sighted person would do, you might require more planning. And so now we're at the convention, and really it's important to explore the hotel and to understand what's going on. Another tool that I use is ChatGPT. These large language models are amazing, and they give us the ability now to load information into it. So, like, there's Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini and all these different kinds of tools. I'm not telling you which one you should use, but this is an application you can download on your phone, ChatGPT, and you can make your own account and pay for it, or have a free one and sign in so that it remembers your chats. And you can create a chat that you can load, because I pay for this service, $20 a month, if I'm not mistaken, right at this point in time. You can load the schedule of events that from the web page. So you just go find the web page on the BVA website and copy that address and drop it into the chat and say, this is a web page that has the schedule of events for the BVA. And maybe you have the PDF, that's the overview, the program for the BVA. You could drop that in the chat and say, this is an attachment. Specifically, it's the BVA convention program. And then you can turn on voice mode and have a conversation about this calendar of events, the schedule of events. You could say, hey, what day, is this happening? When is the opening ceremony? What time? Tell me about July 9th. What's going on that day from, in the morning? And it's very fluid. It's a different way to experience information. And instead of using your screen reader manually to move through information and make sense of, everything. I could give you another example of what I'm talking about. ChatGPT, the large language model, is used with Be My Eyes, unless something has changed recently. So the Be My Eyes engine, when you take a picture, this application, where you can have a live agent, a volunteer help you, also has a part of the application where you can take a picture and then ask questions about the picture. Well, let's say you take a picture of a menu because, you want to know what's on the menu. And specifically, let's say you're looking for fish because you're at a restaurant that you think has fish entrees. Well, back in the day, I'd use OCR, optical character recognition, to take a picture of the menu. And I'd have to read from the top left of the menu all the way to the bottom right, everything, swipe through it and listen to everything that the menu offers. Now, with like a large language model like ChatGPT, I can take a picture, or with Be My Eyes, take a picture and ask questions like, what fish entrees are on this menu? And it's not perfect yet. There can be mistakes, but it's quite amazing. You can also just go to the restaurant's webpage and find maybe the digital virtual menu on the webpage and just peruse it. But again, you can usually drop that into a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini and ask questions more deeply about the menu. And all these kinds of things give you probably more ideas of how you can use it in your everyday life. I think now, more importantly, I just want to talk about the convention and the greater meaning. And, the motto of the Blinded Veterans Association is blinded veterans helping blinded veterans. I think that's so important. And the convention is a place where you can physically spend time with other veterans and learn about what they have taught themselves, the experiences they've had as a blind person. Like I'm kind of detailing in this show about the journey to a convention and the journey back home. And so it's so great to go to these seminars and these meetings and the outings and really foster a relationship with other members and learn about what the BVA does on Capitol Hill for veterans and what each member offers to the association in the sense of the business meetings, in the sense of mentoring each other and just helping each other. So I think exploring the hotel and learning, sitting down at the bar or a restaurant and talking to other members from the American Council of the Blind or from the BVA gives you perspective of all the different types of people working and living with blindness or low vision or visual impairments. The exhibit hall is an amazing place. And whether you go to like these different conventions like CSUN, the California State University Northridge Technology Convention in Anaheim, California, that happens every March, or the BVA convention or NFB or whatever it may be, whatever convention you're going to, there's sometimes exhibit halls. And specifically at the Blinded Veterans Association convention, there's an exhibit hall with developers and manufacturers of assistive technology, of technology that is accessible for people with visual impairments, with blindness. And it's a wonderful place to learn about the Meta Ray-Ban glasses or IRA, Be My Eyes, Way Around. Any of these companies that you've heard about through other episodes on the Visions of BVA or through just your attendance and participation at the conference. It's an amazing place, and there's a lot of people. It can be sometimes hard to navigate, but there's a lot of volunteers generally, and just people working the booths that will point you in the right direction. Again, just a tip: the ChatGPT app. If you've loaded the schedule and the program, a lot of times in that information, there's the booth numbers and the developers and manufacturers listed. So you can ask ChatGPT, I'm looking for the IRA booth, or I'm looking for the Be My Eyes booth, or whatever, Way Around. And it will tell you, just like you're having a conversation with a person that's looking at the menu or looking at a piece of paper, They'll find it quickly with their eyes. Sometimes, ChatGPT machines work faster than humans. A lot of times they do. So you get an answer even quicker, and hopefully it's accurate. Be mindful of that. Be critical of that. But the exhibit hall, the seminars, the meetings, the business meetings, everything, the outings are all wonderful places to learn about each other and the other members, about what the BVA is as a whole and how it's affected people for 80 years. It's finally time to go home. You have collected a bunch of memories and experiences. You've learned how to use maybe your tools better. Your technique for your white cane has improved. Your confidence has improved. You've made new friends. It's been a successful and accomplished journey. You use the same kind of systems and techniques and tools to go home, to go back, to book your travel on an Uber, to go back to the airport, or to get on a shuttle, to communicate with people, to make sure that you're checked into your flight and that you're ready to go through security, to go to the restroom, to go to the gate, to explore the terminal, and then to ultimately fly home and do the same thing when you land to get back to your house. This is just a simple and quick, really, episode. There's so much detail, so many other kinds of systems and techniques and other ways to accomplish or journey, I should say, to a convention or to any place in the world independently. And I hope that I've encouraged you, opened your mind, inspired you to come to the convention. Please check out the BVA website, bva.org, and read about the different things that are listed there on the webpage. And think about coming to the convention next time we host it, wherever that may be. I'm Steve Baskus, and you're listening to Visions of BVA. If you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me at sbaskis@bva.org. That's sbaskis@bva.org. If you know someone that should be on the show, write me. More importantly, make sure you share this episode and the podcast with your family, your friends, and on your social media platforms. Thanks for joining us, and take care until next time. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Visions of BVA. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and found it insightful. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a rating or review on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and improve our show. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Stay connected, stay informed, and we'll see you next time on Visions of BVA. This is Steve Baskus, signing off. You're listening to a BVA production.
Are you a BVA ambassador? Stay informed, skilled, and ahead of the curve with the Ambassador Educational Series led by Vernon Humphrey. This exclusive series is designed for certified BVA ambassadors and covers essential training, continuous education, and insights into emerging technologies that impact the blind and visually impaired community. Sessions are held every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, with a focus on new ambassadors the first and third Tuesdays and certified ambassadors the second and fourth. Whether you're just beginning or building on your knowledge, this is your space to grow, connect, and lead with confidence.